I watched this video, and this is what people don't understand right here. A former law enforcement officer, and I watch the news every morning. Okay, and remember back with PPP funding and the COVID funding of 2020? Remember when they were having a fit about Ilhan Omar taking out $639,000 of PPP funding and giving it to the E Street Marketing Group? That was her husband, Tim Wynette, the current husband. I don't know how many husbands she's had, including her brother. She paid him that $639,000, or got that $639,000 for the E Street Marketing Group, claiming that they lost money in her business or his business. And then she paid him, what was it, $2.5 million, I believe, $2.5 million or $2.5 million from her campaign to do marketing for her campaign at that time. So they obviously lost no money, and they just collected another $639,000. So now keep this in mind, okay, which this is what people are completely missing when you watch Benny Johnson here. I wrote to Benny Johnson and tried to explain this to him. Look at the name of the winery business. Ilhan Omar thinks she's incredibly smart. She's a stupid criminal. She's a completely stupid criminal. And I'll show you, I'll watch this through this to you guys and give you an idea of how this works and how she's working this out, okay?
Here's Ilhan Omar's financial disclosure from the Congressional Record, year 2023. I want to bring your attention to this company right down here.
Okay, if you look at the company, and I don't know how good you can see this on here, it's ESTCRU LLC. It's not Est Crew. It's E Street Crew LLC. Ilhan Omar is such a stupid criminal that she can't even make up a different name for the E Street Marketing Group to the E Street Phony Winery. The winery is also a shell company. There is no phone number. Call the phone number. There is no answer to the phone number, okay? Go to the place of business, and there's no physical address for this company. It's a made-up BS winery, okay, that took in private investors. And what they did is they said, oh, we'll guarantee you 3 times your money, invest in this company or winery. And people actually did it. They never paid them what they were supposed to pay them. They just paid them back the initial investment part, and that was it. Well, if you watch this, I'll keep playing this a little bit longer, and I'll explain to you how Ilhan Omar has done it now.
Here, Est Crew LLC. This is a winery in Santa Rosa, California. It's not doing that well. The total value of the winery is listed at $15,000, and Ilhan Omar's barely making any money off of it at all. Hardly enough to pay a parking ticket. Okay, that's fine. Nothing really mysterious there. Businesses fail all the time. But go ahead and look at her filing for 2024, and you'll find that Est Crew Winery, the same company in the same location, is now worth $5 million. Let's see if we can buy some Est Crew Winery. Here's Est Crew's.
See? Est Crew Winery. E Street Crew Winery is what it is. It's no different name. No, the name is not made up any different. Her and her husband are so stupid as criminals, they can't even make up a different name.
Social media Facebook page, you'll see here that the last post, oh no, was in 2023.
See, there's nothing going on their website. Nothing. It's nothing. The company's a nothing.
So let's go ahead and check their official website. So I'm sure I can go and get some of their wine, right? Well, they don't have any activities here, so maybe I can just go to their location and buy some of their wines, or maybe give them a call. Let's try and go to their location here. This is an empty parking lot. Doesn't actually look like an operational business. It certainly isn't the same name.
See, even if it's Grand Cru, even if that's the name of even if that's their building, there's nothing going on there. Nothing. Does it look like a winery to you? Does it look like a place where you can go in and even purchase wholesale wine or retail wine or anything like that? There's nothing going on there. And then he calls the number.
So, okay, let's go ahead and give them a call. See if maybe they pick up. Let's go ahead and call the number on the webpage. Let's go ahead and give them a call and find out. Oh no, user busy. Let's try that. Okay. Well, I've done this like 20 times today. Okay, so that didn't work. Is there any wine? Oh, there are no wines. You want to know why? Because this is a fake company. Rep. Ilhan Omar's husband accused of...
It's a fake company, okay? Now fast forward it to 2026, all right? And what are you seeing in Minnesota with Somalian businesses? The child care, the transport business, the medical businesses, they're all fake. They're all shell companies. They're school daycare businesses with no children. But they're submitting the bills into the state of Minnesota to get paid by the Minnesota taxpayer. So this stupid criminal Ilhan Omar and her scheme that she tried with E Street Winery, which is a fake company, has done one thing. And I'll continue to play this, and then I'm going to explain to you how she's doing this. And this needs to be investigated immediately, and she needs to be kicked out of Congress immediately.
Of swindling investors in their California winery. They stole millions from cannabis growers. You see here's the lawsuit right here saying that Tim Minette was Ilhan Omar's third husband.
See, they brought in private investors from South Dakota cannabis growers, okay? And they still owe them $1.2 million. They paid them back the initial investment, okay? They did that. But they promised them 3 times the money invested that they would pay them with their wonderful fake winery business here, okay? They're never going to pay this money back. They're never going to pay this back. And those are private investors, so keep that in mind. Those are private investors.
Relation. How did Minette get this relationship? Well, the current Attorney General of Minnesota, Keith Ellison, used to work for him.
That is extremely key in all this. Keith Ellison, he used to work for Keith Ellison. Okay, keep that in mind too, because this is Minnesota again. A small collective group of politicians that rely on the Somalian bloc that they imported into Minnesota. So when you think about it, these Democrats are a shoo-in to win their elections because that's an extra 100,000 or so votes that are definitely going to go their way no matter what. It's going to be extremely hard for anybody to beat these politicians, these Democrat politicians that are entrenched in the state of Minnesota.
Isn't that curious? Keith Ellison, same guy who refuses to look into any of the Somali fraud. So this company was sued for being a fraudulent company. And the New York Post...
And Keith Ellison, again, is refusing to look into the Somali fraud.
Says the exact same thing as the House is now probing the mystery of Ilhan Omar's skyrocketing wealth. They said that Ilhan Omar went from being one of the poorest members of Congress, worth negative $65,000, to being one of the richest, worth $30 million. Here's a rare photo of one of their wine.
A rare photo of one of their wine bottles, and it just so happens to be called The Devil's Lie. Okay, if this bottle exists or not, could not exist. It might be anything in that bottle with a label on it. An interesting label. Okay, I'm going to explain to you how she pulls this off. She didn't change her MO. She still has shell companies or helps with the Somalian people generate shell companies. She can't make a shell company because she's a congresswoman and they'll catch on to her and find out what's going on with her shell companies. So they have all of these Somalian shell companies in Minnesota, like Nick Shirley's videos that has obviously investigated in and turned up. And what she did, her and her husband, they don't change their way of making a crime or developing this criminal activity. They just looked for other investors. So she runs interference on mainstream media, calling American taxpayers stupid, dumb. The president, Donald Trump, he's stupid. And that's her attitude. Her arrogance is absolutely disgusting in this. So what they did is they took away the private investors because the private investors can sue her because they don't get paid back. But guess what she did? She takes the private investors, takes them out, and instead replaces them with Minnesota taxpayers. You, Minnesota taxpayers, you American federal taxpayers that are getting used for protesters are paying for this. You're the new investors in the Somalian scam, the Somalian shell companies, the Ilhan Omar design of crime. That's what she's doing. And then they shuffle off hundreds of thousands of dollars into suitcases off to Somalia to fund Somalia. And then she gets up and gives her praise to the Somalian president, my president from Somalia. He calls me his little girl. And I'm a congressman, so I can basically get away with and do with whatever the hell I feel like it. You steal billions of dollars from Minnesotans and federal taxpayers' dollars, shuffle it off to Somalia, and I wouldn't be surprised even if you get deported back to Somalia, you sick thing. You're going to end up being the president of Somalia. Because right now, Minnesota, if you're talking either 9 billion, 18 billion, 40 billion, or 100 billion, the state of Minnesota should own Somalia. We paid for it. And that's how she's pulling this off. So when her brand of E Street Crew Winery is no different, it's the same damn name, E Street Marketing Group. And she does nothing but sit in Congress and figure out how to shuffle money into her own pockets from public funds. That's how she's doing this. And it's right in front of your face. And that's one thing I'll give her credit for. She's going to say, oh, Americans are stupid. And yeah, we don't have time. We're too busy working, paying our taxes, and paying for the dumb Somalian that's standing in front of you in the grocery store line, filling up their cart with free money or free food, while you and I, as the taxpayers, punching a time clock or working our salaried paycheck, trying to bust our rear end, trying to pay for our families and our kids and put them through school and decent schools, while these Somalians are stealing money like it's hand over fist right in front of our face.
That they allegedly made, the devil's lie. This is a lie. And maybe, just maybe, it's the devil's lie.
Anyway, I wrote to Benny Johnson and explaining this to him because that's exactly how she's doing it. She didn't change her crime. She didn't change her MO. She just changed the investors. And if you got Keith Ellison helping you out as the chief law enforcement officer in Minnesota, the attorney general in Minnesota, you really don't have a hell of a lot of thing to worry about, do you? And if you look at the past interviews or the past information that are shared on here with Keith Ellison in interviews, how he explains way back is how we have to pay money to Somalia. If you own a business in Somalia, try to make a business or if you own a business, try to donate to Somalia. Keep donating to Somalia. That's how they're doing this. So you got Tim Walsh, Keith Ellison, Ilhan Omar, Fry. They changed the state flag of Minnesota into the Somalian flag. It should give you some kind of indication of what they're already trying to do. And now they actually have that Fateh thing in the state of Minnesota, who wanted to declare a section of Minnesota or downtown Minnesota, the Phillips neighborhood, as a no-go zone for white people or other people other than Somalians. That's how far they want to go with this. And Congress needs to drag her rear end into questioning immediately and look into this. She needs to be charged with treason. She needs to be immediately kicked out of Congress. This is insane. This woman is literally running the country of Somalia, or funneling money to Somalia, or helping facilitate the funneling of money to Somalia from her seat in Congress. That's treason. And as far as I'm concerned, in my own opinion, there is rope on sale at Home Depot, and we could use that as pay-per-view to pay off the national debt. Thank you for joining my channel. I hope you like and subscribe. And Benny Johnson, I hope you read and call me about what I just sent you about this. Thank you very much.